हाँ कुछ, हाँ आ गया। वैसे तो मुझे याद है। ठीक है, आप
कैसे?
शेयर करो। जयो राधा माधव, जयो कुंज बिहारी, जयो राधा माधव, जयो कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ, जयो गिरिवर धारी, जयो गिरिवर धारी, जयो राधा माधव, जयो कुंज बिहारी। नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय सच्चिनंदन, जय सच्चिनंदन, जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि। जय राधा माधव, जय राधा माधव, जय राधा माधव गौर हरि। जय राधा श्याम सुंदर, राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे। जय राधा दामोदर, राधा दामोदर राधे। जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेव, जय सुभद्रा, जय सुदर्शना। जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान, सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान। जय जय गिरि गोवर्धन, गिरि गोवर्धन, गिरि गोवर्धन, जय गिरि गोवर्धन। निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव, 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 जय जय गुरुदेव। हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, शीला प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि 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 बोल। जय 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 श्री राधे Let's start with Mangalacharan.
Yes, please, because I think my computer will not be ready today. I'll have to work from my phone. I wanted to show you the PPT. Yeah, please do the Mangalacharan.
ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं
Did you give the command for it to
श्रीयुक्तपदकमलं
be?
श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय, ललिताई की जय।
आज हमें वर्स 69 से स्टार्ट करना है ना, 68 तक कंप्लीट किया था ना।
69 से।
Okay. So if you make me the, can you make me the co-host, Vinu, please?
Yeah, sure.
So I'll try and share from the phone. Let me see if it's possible. हो गया, I think, है ना?
हो गया।
Can it be seen?
No.
What can you see?
Nothing.
It's your profile.
इसको ऑन भी रखती हूँ ताकि आप भी सुन लो, तो इंग्लिश में होता था। लैपटॉप से कनेक्ट कर रही हूँ।
So I'm just sending the PPT on Nandini Bhattacharya. वीनू आप वहां से पिक करके PPT को शेयर कर दो from verse 69. Others were asking also for this PPT, so now this PPT is with everyone. It's for the entire chapter 2. All of you can access it for revision and future reference.
मुझे इसमें शेयर करना है इसको?
Verse 69 से।
हाँ, जैसे आप वो करते हो ना मॉड्यूल।
ओके, एक मिनट अनुष्का को बुलाती हूँ। ये ना मॉड्यूल मैंने एयर ड्रॉप कर दिया है, इसको क्या करूँ?
क्या है?
इसको शेयर करना है।
तो हम लोग उसमें खोलें कि आप शेयर करोगे, वो देखेंगे।
2 मिनट ट्राई कर रही हूँ, 1 मिनट हो जाता है।
हाँ हाँ, नो प्रॉब्लम।
अदरवाइज ऑल्सो अगर किसी के पास दूसरा डिवाइस है, सो यू कैन सेव दैट पीपीटी इन योर ड्राइव एंड यू कैन ओपन दैट दिस पीपीटी इन अदर डिवाइस।
और नहीं तो
Can you
अभी
see?
फिलहाल के लिए तो फोन पे ही खोल लेवे ना।
नहीं,
हाँ,
मैंने
तो
करा
तुम्हारा
नहीं।
वीडियो ऑफ हो जाएगा।
हाँ, फोन पे खुल गया, बट एक टाइम पे एक ही देख सकते हैं।
हाँ,
69।
नहीं, ये हो रहा है। अभी भी नहीं आ रहा screen.
हो गया विनू, दिख रहा
है ना? हाँ, वर्स 69 पे जाना है.
है।
मैं भी कर पा रही हूँ. Have you done it?
ये अभी 30 पे
I-
चल रहा है, आपको आगे करना होगा। हाँ।
नहीं, I think मुझे करने दो because I want to do it. मेरा भी खुल गया है. आप रहने दो वीनू.
Okay.
Because I will want to use it my way. There. Okay, so we go to so we did 67 and 68 last, है ना?
Right, हाँ
68 तक हो गया ना?
हाँ, 68 तक हो गया.
हाँ
Um,
Today will be
So what-
69th.
yes. And we saw that the last question of Arjun, who is a Sthita Pragya, how does such a liberated person walk? Krishna is answering that question, right? So, as you can see from the PPT, the symptoms of Sthita Pragya are
we are not able to see you.
Oh, that's because मैंने अपना Parth has actually just given me his laptop, so वो सब चल रहा था. I had exited from my laptop and my phone, and
Hare Krishna.
hey, Hare Krishna, no, good to see you. All right. So, yeah. So in 67 and 68, we saw that Krishna is explaining to him the symptoms of a Sthita Pragya. What are the symptoms? That a living entity, when his senses are restrained from the sense objects, then his intelligence becomes steady. But if his senses are roaming around, then they carry away his intelligence. It is not steady. If he indulges his senses in sense gratification, then his mind focuses on those senses, and as a result, the intelligence deserts such a person. Now, how do you restrain your senses? Of course, we have no idea how to do it ourselves. So it's practiced under a bona fide spiritual master. And when you learn from the spiritual master and you start practicing it, such a person is called a sadhak. And he is a candidate for liberation. Yeah. So when the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, automatically they get controlled. So such a person is called a Sthita Pragya, who actually try to subdue his senses, but rather the intelligent way is to engage the senses in the service of the Lord. And automatically they will be controlled. Now we come to, this was what we did last week. Now we will do verse 69, Vaishali.
Yes. हाँ जी, हरि बोल.
Hari bol.
पढ़ूं?
Yes, please. Thank you.
या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage.
Introspective. Yeah. So this is a very interesting verse. You can literally see these things happening today in today's society. What is night for the others is the time of awakening for the self-control. How many of you are getting up in the morning? 3-4 बजे
5 बजे.
या 5 बजे?
हाँ, 5 बजे.
What is the, when you get up, what is the state of the world around you?
टोटल पीसफुल, ब्लिसफुल. बिल्कुल लगता है कि काश कि कोई उठे ही ना, मैं उठी रहूं बस ठीक है. Pin drop silence, very peaceful.
So literally, when the spiritual practitioners wake up, the general mass of people are sleeping. And similarly, when they are awake, then the introspective sage is sleeping. It is night for the introspective sage, when it is the time of awakening for the others. So naturally, those who have to get up early in the morning in the Brahma Muhurt to practice meditation on the sound vibrations, you have to sleep at a decent time. But that is the time of party and sense gratification for the materially attached people, right? So this is actually a very practical example of what happens today, but the meaning of this verse is much deeper than that. But you can literally also see this happening, that all materially attached sense gratifiers love the evening time. All the pubs, all the discotheques are operational and they come to life when the sun goes down. उनका दिन शुरू होता है. लेकिन for the sober, this is the end of the day. They are wrapping up their dinner, they're wrapping up their house, and they're preparing to sleep. So there are two classes of intelligent men. This is what it is saying here. There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligent in material activities, because to enjoy sense gratification bhi dimag chahiye. You know, things don't come easy. This is the material world. Even if you have to enjoy, you need to put in a lot of effort. You know, if you have to eat out or you have to go out, also there's a lot of planning involved. There is a lot of effort involved. So one category of people in pink shown here are those who use their intelligence for sense gratification, whereas the other is the introspective person, people who are thinking, contemplating on why are we here, what is the purpose of our being here. And through their introspection, they awaken to the cultivation of self-realization. So the activities of these thoughtful people are nighttime for the materialistic people. Literally, also speaking, such people fall asleep when you start talking to them on these subject matters of the spiritual self, the science of the soul. You know, they will either get up and go from there, or they will fall asleep. So the introspective stage uses his intelligence to cultivate self-realization, and thus all his activities are for spiritual advancement. And how is he able to do that? Because he's able to control his senses and he's not disturbed by the demands of the senses. The senses come to him. It's not that the senses don't trouble them. The senses come to a spiritually awakened person or a mindful, spiritually mindful person. They come, sir, please satisfy me. But he tells them, no, not now. Keep quiet. So he is able to say no to their demands. Whereas sense gratifier or a materialistic person, his activities are based on sense gratification. He is not able to say no. Consequently, the activities are like day and night. So they are opposites to each other. This is what they are saying. That materialistic people remain asleep in such a night because they are ignorant. But an introspective sage is alert. He feels that the pleasure of transcendence in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture. But a materialistic man, because he is asleep to self realization, he just dreams of sense pleasure. And because of this, sometimes he is happy, most of the times he is sad. सुख मिलता है लेकिन बहुत मेहनत करने के बाद मिलता है और थोड़ा सा मिलता है, just a few drops, and by the time he enjoys it, it's gone. So however, a transcendentalist or a living being who is serious about his spiritual advancement, he's always indifferent to the materialistic happiness and distress. Nothing affects him. Sukh and dukh, changing of the seasons, nothing disturbs him. He goes on with his self-realization activities undisturbed by these activities. Okay, next, verse 70. Right, Shani?
हाँ जी। आपूर्यमाणम् अचल प्रतिष्ठं समुद्रम् आपः प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
So you can see in this picture, a very nice picture has been given, that all these rivers that you can see are actually our desires. And they are innumerable. As you can see, the water of a river is constantly flowing. The water doesn't stop. So all this water of the river is like our desires that are constantly coming into our mind and heart, one after the other. And as this water goes and falls into the sea and joins the sea, but the sea, as you can see, the expanse of the ocean is undisturbed. And this is not just one river of one country. All the rivers of all the countries are emptying into the same ocean. Ocean is one, but rivers are many. And all of them, like incessant desires, are going and emptying themselves into the ocean. Yet, you will see that the ocean does not swell. समुंदर में कभी बाढ़ नहीं आती. It does not break its banks. It still remains peaceful, undisturbed, and does not breach its banks. ना उसका level कम होता है ना ज़्यादा होता है. It remains स्थित प्रज्ञा. So, although the vast ocean is always filled with water, especially और ऊपर से जब rainfall भी होती है, the rainfall does not say that, oh, there's already plenty of water in the ocean, I shouldn't fall on the ocean, let me fall just on the dry places. It doesn't happen that way. When it rains even on the ocean. So the river water is falling into the ocean, plus water from the sky is falling into the ocean, yet the ocean remains steady. Neither is it agitated, nor does it cross its brink, the limit of its brink. And what is this analogy showing? This is true also for a person who is fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as we have this material body, and as long as we have this mind, we will always have ideas for sense gratification. They will keep on coming into our mind. But the devotee is not disturbed by these desires that are coming into his mind one after the other. Why? Because he's already full. He's full with Krishna consciousness. So he is not in need of anything. All his needs, wants, and desires are already fulfilled. And the Lord simultaneously starts fulfilling his material necessities. So he's like the ocean, he's full in himself. So desires may come to him like the waters of the river, but he is steady. he is not even slightly disturbed by these desires for sense gratification. This is proof that he is a genuinely Krishna conscious person who has lost all inclination for material sense gratification. Although desires are there, but he remains satisfied in the loving service of the Lord. So, as you can see here in the picture down here, desires are pouring into his mind from 360 degrees. All around his mind is attacked. You can see all these arrows, these are the attacks of desires of different kinds and varieties. But inside the mind, he's peaceful. Why? Because he is sthita pragya, he is single pointed devotion. Vyavasaya Atmika Buddhi. He is focused on satisfying the senses of Krishna. And he's engaging all his senses in serving Krishna. Therefore, all these desires are not able to have any effect on him. So, ye unko chubte nahi hai. But what happens to a materialistic person? Because whatever desire comes, he runs after that desire to satisfy it. And hardly has he finished satisfying it, another desire comes, then he runs to fulfill those desires. As a result, most of his desires are unfulfilled and his mind always agitated and he has no peace because he's trying to satisfy, or he's trying to engage the senses with the materialistic senses instead of ignoring them and instead of converting them to the Lord's service. Therefore, there is always agitation and no peace. But when a living entity engages his senses in the service of the Lord, first of all, he becomes fully satisfied. There is a deep satisfaction inside him. As a result of that, he is not disturbed by these desires. And as a result of that, even though desires keep on coming, he becomes perfectly peaceful. So, as long as you have a material body, it does not mean that desires for bodily sense gratification will not come to you. They will, they should, because that is the nature of the material body. But instead of artificially suppressing them, which is taught by many gurus and by many techniques, that you artificially try to snub your desires or try to bottle them up. According to the Vedas, they say that it's not possible. They will burst at some place or the other. So the intelligent thing to do is to let them come, don't suppress them, but give them an alternative engagement. And once that is done, you will attain, you will be peaceful. They will not be able to disturb you. Okay, so the last line of the purport says, the devotees of Krishna have no material desires and therefore they are in perfect peace. Okay, next verse, 71.
विहाय कामान्यः सर्वान् पुमान् शरति निस्पृहा निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः स शान्तिम् अधिगच्छति. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace.
Okay, so let's read the purport. To become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. This definition is very important because this verse you will see in so many other translations of the Bhagavad Gita. It's always confusing the way it is translated. That one has to be desireless. You know? Nish prihaha. Nishprihaha means desireless. But look at Prabhupada's intelligence. He's explaining Nishprihaha as it does not mean to become desireless. It means desire for becoming Krishna consciousness is actually to become desireless. So the idea is to convert desirelessness into an alternative activity, to convert the desires into, as you can see in the slide, not for sense gratification. This is what it means by nishprihaha. Do not engage the desires to enjoy. Rather, for a living entity to become desireless, it means real desirelessness means no one can artificially abolish the desires. Rather, you convert your desires to match with the desires of Krishna. Krishna, whatever you desire, I'm going to match up to that. And I'm going to try and satisfy that. And what happens? These three things happen then. We'll read the purport. To understand one's actual position as the eternal servitor of Krishna, without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself, and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in the world, is the perfect stage for Krishna consciousness. Which means that when we understand that our actual position is not of a master, but of a servitor, what are we doing? We are subduing our ego, our false ego, we are trying to tame it. That I am not the master, this is not my house, this is not what I have built by my earnings and through my effort. This house or this current family life and whatever I have achieved in my family life so far has been loaned to me by the mercy of Krishna. Krishna has given them to me, so I am going to use them in his service. This is how we can tame our false ego. Similarly, false proprietorship. How do we control that? By not falsely claiming proprietorship means ownership. And all of us suffer from this problem, that we take ownership of whatever we have been gifted in our life. Nothing actually has come because of our achievement. We have not been able to decide which family we will be born in. We have not been able to plan who will be our children. We have not been able to plan who our husband would be, who our future relatives would be, the in-laws and the relatives that would come into our life. Nothing is in our control. All of this has been given to us. So we cannot claim proprietorship or ownership over any of these material things. Be it our job, our professional achievements, our personal achievements. These are just false ownerships. So one who is situated in this stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor or the owner of everything, everything must be used for his satisfaction. What is the example? Arjun. He didn't want to fight for his own sense gratificatory purposes. For his own enjoyment, he said, I don't want to fight. But when he converted his desires to match with those of Krishna's, Krishna wanted him to fight. Immediately, all phobia, fear, anxiety, confusion, dilemma left him. He became free of all of them and ultimately became completely fixed in his purpose. When he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the same Arjun fought to his best ability. This is the meaning of real desirelessness. Real desirelessness means desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish the desires or to subdue them or to cap them or to bottle them up. The living entity can never be desireless or senseless because we are made up of senses. So, how can we ever become senseless? But he does have the authority or the choice to change the quality of those desires. So, a materially desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. And therefore, he does not falsely claim proprietorship. over anything. This transcendental knowledge is based on self-realization. And what is self-realization? Knowing perfectly well that every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna. And the eternal position of every living entity is never on the level of Krishna or greater than him. We will always remain Das, Das, Dasanudas. And who will be our master? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, a Sthita Pragya never tries to become equal to Krishna or greater than him, but always remains a subservient position. So, sense gratification automatically gets controlled when we understand that Krishna is the actual proprietor. And we use everything for his service. Automatically, our senses get controlled. Our false proprietorship, we are able to control and subdue it once we stop putting a false claim of ownership over all the things that we own. And the ego is we can control the ego and subdue it once we understand that Krishna is the master and I am his servant. I'm not the master. And when with all these three, this is the 3-point formula. With these 3 points, immediately the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness comes. And what is the result? Peace, which is what we are all trying to look for. And we are looking for lasting peace, permanent peace, not something that fleetingly comes to us and then it goes away. So the gist of this is person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, false proprietorship, and false ego only can attain peace. Whoever satisfies these 3 conditions, he alone is eligible for peace. All the others will keep on struggling till the end of life, but they will never be able to achieve it. They will always be running after peace. Okay, last verse for chapter 2. Shali?
हाँ जी। एषा ब्राह्मी स्थिति पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वा स्यामन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं रुच्छति. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Yes.
How long does it take to attain Krishna consciousness? Any guesses? In how much time can we become Krishna conscious? Who would like to guess? Varsha, Vaiji, any guesses? Minimum time, maximum time?
Within a second.
Anu said that?
Yes.
Sahi jawab, full marks. How many of you agree with that?
See, the minimum is, a few seconds, because if at the time of death, we are in that state, then we can get there. But otherwise, if you ask maximum time, I think several births till we, reach that position.
Yeah, so upper limit could be anything depending on your effort. But what is significant is the minimum time. So how many of you believe that it's possible in a few seconds? Forget few seconds, 1 second. It's actually that simple. And yet, not so simple. So actually, the moment you surrender to Krishna, which takes just a second, you can become self-realized and you can become eligible to go to Golok Vrindavan. Except that we hold so tight to ourselves and the things we possess that it's very difficult for us to surrender. And a very nice example is given here, that of Khatwang Maharaj. So King Khatwang was, he was in the heavenly planets, and he was, so I don't remember the story very clearly. It's, this episode comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, but I'll tell you the gist of what it meant. That Khatwang Maharaj, after having profusely enjoyed his time in the heavens, it was time for him to depart from there. And he was getting ready to come down to the planet Earth, when the demigods told him that we are very pleased with your service. So why don't you ask us for a boon, or something we want to give you? And the self-realized person that he was, he didn't ask for any powers, mystic powers, or any facilities. He just asked them to tell him how much time he had left. Meri mrityu kab hai? Can you tell me? And the demigods said, "Oh, you've asked this question at the right time, because you have only one moment to live." You know, after giving him all the power and benedictions and riches and everything, any ordinary person would have been, you know, thrilled that, okay, I have everything now and to enjoy down on the earthly planets. But अगर आपके पास समय ही नहीं होगा, आयु ही नहीं होगी, lifetime ही नहीं बचेगा, what are you going to do? So he was so intelligent, he immediately asked, how much time do I have left? And they said 1 moment. And what did he do? Immediately, he asked them to send him down to planet Earth. Now, 1 moment of the heavenly planets, of course, is a sizable amount on planet Earth, because timelines are different. So as soon as he learned that he has only 1 moment, he did not want to waste even a microsecond. He immediately came down to planet Earth, went to Vrindavan, and immersed himself into meditating on the Lord's names, and immediately attained liberation. This is Khatwang Maharaj. So one can attain Krishna consciousness at once, within a second, or he may not attain it even life after life, or millions of births. So it's only a matter of understanding and accepting this fact. Prabhupada says Khatwang Maharaj attained this state of life just a few minutes before his death. Like Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj also knew his time of death. He was cursed by Shringi Rishi's son, and the curse was that within 7 days you're going to be bitten by Takshak. And he was the king of the world. What did he do? Immediately he renounced his kingdom, put his son in charge, went to the banks. He went to Naimisharanya. He sought out Shukadev Goswami and he told him, please tell me what I should be doing. I have only 7 days left and I want to go back home, back to Godhead. What should I be doing? And he said, Shravanam and Kirtanam is all you need. So 7 days and 7 nights, he did not sleep, he did not eat, he did not drink. Non-stop, he heard Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, from the lips of Sukhdev Goswami. And as a result, when it was time for death in the form of the Takshak bird to come and bite him, Takshak is a flying snake. Before the snake could bite him, he had left his body and gone back home, back to God. So, such people attain the state of life by surrendering unto Krishna. Now, in this verse, there are 2 words that have been used. One is Nirvan, and the other is Brahma Nirvan. Now, all of us have heard this word Nirvan many, many times. But Nirvan, Prabhupada explains that Nirvan means the ending the process of materialistic life. It does not mean some merging into some supernatural consciousness. It simply means that you end your materialistic life and you take your spiritual life seriously. According to Buddhist philosophy, there is only void. Void means shunya. There is nothing. after death. But the Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. According to the Bhagavad Gita, actual life begins after death, after this material life and this material body is finished. Then our actual life begins. For the gross materialist, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. People who are too much materialistic, for them only this understanding is enough, that they need to end this materialistic way of life, and not engage so much into enjoying the senses. But people who are more intelligent and more advanced, to them this understanding should be given, and is given, that actually there is another life after this life, this materialistic life. So before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, at once he gets the stage of Brahma Nirvana. What is that? That there is no difference between Golok, the kingdom of God, and Bhakti Yoga, and Bhakti to the Lord. There's no difference. Serving the Lord or practicing Bhakti Yoga and being in Golok is one and the same thing. Since both of them are on the absolute plane, then to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. So the real purpose of our life is to stop enjoying our senses or engaging them with the sense objects, because they are not going to be satisfied. They will only be disillusioned. But to start preparing for the life after death, start planning for that, and start acting and behaving in such a way that you become eligible after death, never to come back to this material world. That is how this life should be led. So actually Bhagavad Gita is not only teaching you it is actually teaching you the art of living. The real art of living is what the Bhagavad Gita is teaching you. But beyond that, it is also teaching you the art of dying. What are you supposed to be doing? How should you be meeting death? It is also preparing you for that. So that death is temporary, because only the temporary body is dying. Only this outer shell is dying. And if the real you inside is going to live even after death, so then what are you planning for its journey after death? Shouldn't we be planning for the journey of our soul after death, since we know that the soul never dies? Yeah. So in the material world, there are activities of sense gratification, but in the spiritual world, there are activities of Krishna consciousness. Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti means not on the platform of material activities. It's saying here, no? Nayanam prapya vimuhyati, esha Brahmi Sthiti. So, Brahmi Sthiti means simply not on the material plane, but on the spiritual plane. And devotional service of the Lord is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as a liberated stage. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti means liberation from material bondage. It does not mean going into Shunya or mixing in a void. That's not what it means. It simply means stopping your materialistic engagement. So, let's take a look at this. You will be able to understand this. Let's summarize it through this PPT. What is the spiritual way of life that one can attain even at the time of death? Here, we'll start from the living entity. The living entity, when he ends his materialistic life and starts practicing Bhakti Yoga, he reaches the stage of Nirvana. So Nirvana is not something that you have to attain after a lot of difficult austerities and yoga and trance. No, Nirvana simply means ending your material life. And what is Brahma Nirvana? Where you practice Krishna consciousness fully and completely in this life. That becomes Brahma Nirvana. And what is the result of Brahma Nirvana? That you go back home, back to Godhead. Actual life begins after you have completed the materialistic way of life. So actual life, you can start living in this life itself. And once you attain Brahma Nirvana, automatically you are released from material bondage. So you reach the stage of Brahma Sthiti. It's very easily done in Kali Yuga. These are very difficult stages to reach. Nirvana, Brahma Sthiti. Satyug में 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 years तक तपस्या करते थे, तब जाकर ये situation हम use, the rishis and munis would be able to attain these. In Kali Yuga, very easily attainable, just by practicing Krishna consciousness, just by engaging all your desires, all your senses in practicing Krishna consciousness. In this life itself, you can achieve all of this, as well as peace, as well as satisfaction and contentment, just by performing devotional service to Krishna in this life, transcendental. And there's no difference whether you are on planet Earth and you are performing Bhakti Yoga or you are in Golok Vrindavan. दोनों में कोई difference नहीं है. Both are absolute. Even those who are here in perfect Krishna consciousness, they are as good as living in Golok Vrindavan. So, and we've seen the example of Khatwang Maharaj, that you can attain Krishna consciousness. सारी उम्र नहीं किया है, सिर्फ at the point of death, last moment है आपका मरने का, तब भी you can go back home, back to God. इतना easy कर दिया है इसको achieve करना in Kali Yuga. So all glories to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have brought this Sankirtan Yagya movement, to make it so easy for people of Kali Yuga. Why? Because वैसे ही Kali Yuga में काल की मार पड़ी हुई है सभी जीवों को. You know, mand buddhi, mand bhagya. People in Kali Yuga will be so unfortunate and so dull-headed, you know, that they need all the help. That's why they have made it so simple in Kali Yuga. So with this content, we have ended chapter 2. And chapter 2 can be summarized in these 3 ways. There has been a detailed discussion of Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, actually, when Krishna tells him then Krishna has also explained Gyan Yoga. Karma Yoga and Gyan Yoga have been discussed in chapter 2, with a little bit of a trailer of Bhakti Yoga. Abhi Bhakti Yoga isme introduce nahi kiya hai Krishna ne. He's just given a glimpse in one verse. Very briefly he talks about it. But it's going to come more in detail in the following chapters. So this is the theme. This is what chapter 2 can be summarized as. Externally work like other people. Bahar se devotees will appear like other people. We are also married, we have a family life, we have children, we have jobs, we're going to office, we have relatives, we are doing our social duties, everything. But internally, devotees are renounced and they are completely attached to Krishna, or they are trying to get attached to Krishna. They're trying to understand the philosophy of Krishna. And externally, they do not renounce the work. But internally, they try to renounce it. Externally, renouncing means leaving, running away from your responsibility, leaving everything. That's not possible. That's not recommended. That is monkey renunciation. So do not renounce work, but dovetail your work according to the rules given by Krishna, according to the regulations given by Krishna, and according to the standards given by Krishna. This is the theme of chapter 2. And the summary, 6 points, chapter 2. Krishna's instructions to Arjun are that the philosophical teachings of the Gita, Krishna provides a summary of all the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita in this chapter. So actually, all the 700 verses of the Gita are summarized in the chapter 2 itself. In the beginning only, he summarizes everything. Because Arjun is so bewildered and perplexed as to what he should be doing. So he submits himself completely to Krishna, saying that I am your disciple and you please instruct me what to do. So Krishna begins by Sankhya philosophy. because Arjun is at such a 0.0 level. Immediately, Krishna cannot give him the highest philosophy. So he has to start from nursery. So he starts first with Sankhya philosophy. What is Sankhya philosophy? It is the analytical study of difference between body and soul. He starts from there. Because Arjun is horrified. How will I kill my Swajan, my Parijan? So Krishna has to give him first basic knowledge that, look, my dear boy, you're not this body, you're this soul. So he's trying to explain that soul, body is just the outer covering, soul is the real thing. After that, he takes him to, once Arjun is able to understand that, then Krishna explains to him the Karma Kand philosophy. How is he telling him? How does he explain that to him? He tells him that, look, if you are so bothered that you will have to kill your relatives and that you will incur sin for that killing, so even if you die in the battle, then you will go to heaven, because this is also a rule given in our Shastra कि युद्ध में जो भी मारे जाते हैं सब वीर गति को प्राप्त होते हैं. Any battle that is fought, all the people who die automatically are transported to the heavenly planets. So Krishna tells him, Arjun, if you die, you'll go to heaven. And if you don't die, then you will become the king of planet Earth. So, it's a win-win situation. But if he leaves the battle altogether, then he will be dishonored for eternality. हमेशा हमेशा के लिए history में he will be dishonored, and as a kshatriya he will not be able to tolerate that. That will be worse than death. So from Sankhya philosophy he brings him to Karma Kand philosophy. Both of them are low levels of conduct. And after that, then Krishna advises Arjun that although after having some basis in Vedic scripture, he is telling Arjun that Krishna advises that Arjun's reasons for not fighting, even though they may be according to Shastra, because Arjun is, whatever reasons he gives, they are actually reasons given in the Vedas. So he has some Shastric knowledge and understanding. But Krishna is saying that if you are trying to follow the Shastra, but you miss the higher purpose of the Shastra, the goal of Shastra, or the goal of why those rules and regulations have to be followed, then you're making a big mistake. Or it is sinful to follow them blindly without understanding the goal behind it. So he says that the real work is to work without being attached to the results. You simply fight or you simply work because it is Krishna's desire. And by this acting, then you will not get any sinful reaction. And you will be able to get out of the cycle of birth and death. So neither do you do sakaram, nor do you do akaram, but you do nishkaram. And Arjun then asks about the nature of the self-realized souls. He's intrigued that, okay, so these are the kind of people who get liberated from the cycle of birth and death. So Krishna, how do they walk? How do they talk? How do they sit? What do they do? And to that the Lord explains that such self-realized souls, they are free from desire to enjoy the senses. This is a very big victory, that you can say no to your senses. And they have a steady mind. They are indifferent to good and evil both. And they have a taste for devotional activities. And they can control the senses by engaging them in devotional activities. And one who is not connected with God, with Krishna, or is not doing any devotional activity, he can never, never, ever have peace or a steady mind or happiness, because all of them are interlinked. This is the ultimate goal of life. Okay. Today we have Any questions?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes.
In this
Neha.
summary, fourth point, where Krishna is saying, then Krishna advises that Arjuna's reasons
Which
for not
in the
fighting.
summary, okay.
Krishna advises that Arjuna's reasons for not fighting, although having some basis in Vedic scripture.
Hmm. Yes.
So, what does this actually mean? Giving the reasoning from the Vedas that why he's not ready to fight.
Yeah, like I just explained, that he is citing the Shastra only, but it's the Karmakandi Shastra, no? रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस का नाम तो ले रहे हैं, लेकिन रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस क्यों करनी है? वो गोल भूलकर अगर रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस करोगे तो यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू गेट द रिजल्ट, यू आर मिसिंग द पॉइंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, सपोजिंग वी डिसाइड इन क्लास दैट क्लास शुरू होने से पहले प्लीज पुट अप द स्क्रीन. जो हम कीर्तन करते हैं ना, one of you please put up the screen, and before everybody joins, let us just start doing kirtan and you put up the screen. So all of you, just one of you starts doing that and everybody starts doing that blindly. So you put up the screen because it has been told, but all of you continue to chit chat or talk to each other before the teacher comes, or you just do whatever you like. So you are following the rules and regulations कि बताया गया है कि स्क्रीन लगानी है, लेकिन उसका गोल भूल गए. वो स्क्रीन क्यों लगानी थी? कि हम आपस में चिट चैट ना करें और सब कीर्तन करें और संकीर्तन करें. तो हम रूल तो फॉलो कर रहे हैं, लेकिन उसको वो क्यों फॉलो करना था, उसका गोल क्या है, उसको निग्लेक्ट कर दिया हमने. सो इट इज जस्ट रिचुअल. दिस इज कॉल्ड रिचुअलिस्टिक लिविंग. पूजा पाठ कर्मकांड रिचुअल ब्लाइंडली सुपरस्टिशन के तरह फॉलो करना विदाउट नोइंग द रिजल्ट. सो अर्जुन रूल्स तो बता रहा है, लेकिन वो रूल्स किस लिए बनाए गए थे? कि इस गोल के लिए, उस गोल को भूलकर उस रूल को अप्लाई करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. नेचुरली इज फ्रस्ट्रेटेड. देन कृष्ण एक्सप्लेन्स टू हिम के ये जो तुम रूल्स बता रहे हो कि स्वजनों को नहीं मारना है, ये कर्म कांड है. एक्चुअली दिस कर्म कांड तुम्हारे लिए नहीं है. यू आर इवन मोर एलिवेटेड. कर्म कांड इज फॉर द लोअर लेस इंटेलिजेंट पीपल, जो बिल्कुल ही मटेरियलिस्टिक लाइफ को छोड़ नहीं सकते, इतने ज्यादा एंजॉयमेंट के साथ अटैच्ड हैं. उनको थोड़ा बहुत कर्मकांड दिया जाता है कि एटलीस्ट बाय लिटिल उनका एंजॉयमेंट से, अपने सेंस एंजॉयमेंट से थोड़ा सा उनका उनकी आसक्ति, उनकी अटैचमेंट थोड़ी सी कम हो. बट यू आर मच मोर देन दैट. तो तुम कर्मकांड में क्यों फंसे हो? गो टू भक्ति हो. क्योंकि गोल क्या है हमारा? Which are the two people who left?
Varsha and I think Mukta. I don't know.
Dr. Meela.
Meeta.
Yeah, Meeta. Meeta and Varsha.
Yes. Anything else?
Yeah, I have little confusion in this verse 72 regarding these terms Nirvan, Nirvan, and Brahma Sthiti.
Just go to the word-to-word meaning.
So when I'm reading this, Nirvan is okay when we are ending the material life. So this ending the material life, does that mean, like you said, death? Or in this material life only when we are stopping, we are, we are transcending the material life to the spiritual life?
Ending material life means ending our attachment to materialistic activities. That's it. So Nirvana, so simple.
And then perform devotional service to Krishna in this life. So this is transcendental. And then it doesn't mean same Brahma Nirvan, attaining Krishna consciousness in this life?
पहले अटैचमेंट कम होगा, उसके बाद कृष्ण के साथ रिलेशनशिप बनानी तो अभी बाकी है ना. फर्स्ट स्टेज इज अटैचमेंट कम करना, सेंसेस से, एंजॉयमेंट से, and then you can start developing a relationship with Krishna. And when that relationship has been developed, you have developed love of God, then you become Brahma Nirvana.
Okay, so that stage is called Brahma Nirvana.
It's the next stage, ना? मैंने PPT में it's very clearly given, no?
तो फिर ब्रह्म स्तुति,
पहले निर्वाण था, फिर ब्रह्म निर्वाण था,
फिर ब्रह्म स्तुति,
फिर ब्रह्म स्मृति.
लिबरेशन.
Is it clear, Anjali?
नो, द थर्ड
क्या?
वन ब्रह्म स्तुति आपने लिखवाया लिबरेशन फ्रॉम मटेरियल बॉन्डेज, बट देन निर्वाण itself also means once we end attachment to material life, means we are breaking all bonds with material life, right? And then we develop a relationship with Krishna that becomes Brahma Nirvana.
This is 72, na?
Right.
Yes. Liberation from material bondage. It's the same as attaining Golok Vrindavan.
Okay.
Reaching the stage of Brahma Sthiti or going to Golok, one and the same thing. मतलब यहाँ पे planet Earth पे रह के भी it is as good as going to Golok.
Basically, this material bondage means free from the cycle of birth and death.
Your consciousness is completely detached from the material activities of this world. Consciousness is that you are already working, behaving, thinking, feeling, and acting at the level of Krishna is Bhagwan and I am his Das.
So the third stage will be Brahma Stuti. Na? First will be Nirman, then Brahma Nirvan, and then Brahma Stuti.
Brahmi Sthiti.
Brahmi Stuti.
Brahmi Sthiti में लिखा है ना, simply means not on the platform of material activities. That's it. मतलब ब्रह्म निर्वाण की सिचुएशन आते ही ब्रह्मी स्थिति ऑटोमेटिकली आ गई. It's one and the same thing. It's not level 3 necessarily. It's just एक coin के दो हिस्से. They simultaneously exist. This explanation I find only in Prabhupada's book. Nowhere, otherwise this verse is, you can never understand this verse. अगर प्रभुपाद ने जिस तरह से इसको practically explain किया, नहीं तो आप आत्मा और परमात्मा में ही चक्कर काटते रहोगे. You will not be able to understand कि इसको practically कैसे apply करना है. So he's explained it that by dovetailing your activities into Krishna consciousness. It's very practical. Detach your senses from enjoyment and engage them in the service of Krishna. It's very simple. You don't have to actually worry about these words.
These words are too confusing.
Huh?
I'm saying these words are too confusing. Which कौन सा आगे कौन सा पीछे?
Doesn't matter, no? How does it matter?
Actually, in the meaning Prabhupada has written, Brahma Nirvana means the spiritual kingdom of God. So that is more clear.
Yes, exactly. Just read his purport. It's all clear there. So chapter 2 is clear?
Don't ask any question. It is clear. As far as you don't ask any
See, the best way to revise chapter 2 is 10 लोग हो ना आप, and 70 verses हैं. सब 10 verses कर लो, उस पे presentation दे दो. We will revise the whole chapter.
So that give us some time.
And
Not at 2
no,
o'clock.
1 week is more than enough. 1 week is more than enough. कोई thesis थोड़ी करनी है. तुम तो इतनी सारी गीता क्लासेस कर रही हो, 1 2 3 4 5, क्या करोगी इतनी गीता क्लासेस करके? यहाँ पे भी वहां पे भी
इट्स ओनली 2 ऑफ यू एंड जस्ट थर्ड तो वो हम अपने आप पढ़ते हैं, टेलीग्राम वाला तो हम अपने आप पढ़ते हैं और ये ऑडियो सुनते हैं, वी
No,
आर रीडिंग ऑन।
so that is doing a class only ना, 3 बार, फिर भी तुम्हें ज्यादा, फिर और इससे ज्यादा क्या करोगे? ये तो ऐसे समझ में नहीं आने वाली unless you really try and present it. जितना आप बोल के समझा सकते हो, अभी जो मैं समझा रही हूँ ये बोल के, तो आई फील कि सेकंड चैप्टर मुझे अब जाके समझ में आया, बिकॉज आई एम रीडिंग एंड एक्सप्लेनिंग. नाउ इट इज क्लियर टू मी. ऑल दीज इयर्स आई वाज हियरिंग, वी ऑल हर्ड दैट लेक्चर ना. जब आप सुन रहे हो, स्पीकर काम कर रहा है, सारा 90% काम स्पीकर कर रहा है, आपसे बैठ के सुन रहे हो. लेकिन जब आपको बोलना होता है तो 95% काम आप कर रहे हो. समझ में आया? क्या आया समझ में? डू यू गेट इट? और स्पीकर लिसनर सिर्फ सुन रहा है, वो इतना काम नहीं कर रहा है. सो अनलेस यू डू दैट 95% काम, वो तब तक फाइनल नहीं होगा यहाँ पे इम्प्रिंट, है ना. सो लिसनर, श्रोता से आप वक्ता बनो.
I'm saying preparation is okay, जहाँ बोलने की टाइम आती है वहाँ हाथ पैर ठंडे हो जाते हैं.
doesn't matter. We are it's a friendly group. हम मंदिर में तो दे नहीं रहे, or we're not giving to the other senior devotees. It's just our own Nandini Bhakti Vriksha. That's our family, isn't it? है ना हेमा?
यस.
So
इसी फील्ड पे कॉन्फिडेंस डेवलप कर सकते हैं.
यहीं पे कर सकते हो आप कॉन्फिडेंस डेवलप. एंड द होल आइडिया ऑफ भक्ति वृक्षा इज वृक्ष बनाना, है ना. एक ट्रंक है, उस ट्रंक के ऊपर इतनी सारी शाखाएं निकलेंगी. एक शाखा अंजलि, एक शाखा नीलम, एक शाखा वीनू, एक शाखा अनु, एक शाखा हेमा, एक अर्चना, एक वाईजी, तभी तो जाके वृक्ष बनेगा. इन सब शाखाओं को आगे जाके फिर और शाखाएं बनानी है. दैट्स द मीनिंग ऑफ भक्ति वृक्षा. एक आदमी कब तक काम करता रहेगा? हाँ, मुझी से करवाओगे सारा काम, सारा टाइम. वृक्ष कैसे बनेगा? हाउ विल वी रीच आउट टू मोर एंड मोर पीपल? That's the whole idea of Bhakti Vriksha, to develop in a cozy, comfortable environment, to develop more and more preachers through proper and systematic training. है ना? You guys are lucky कि एक Bhakti Vriksha program है. We had nothing. I too got uprooted from Dubai and came to Gurgaon. So all my mentors and support system तो पीछे रह गया. And here I was completely by myself. अपने आप ही हाथ पैर मार मार के सीखा जो भी सीखा. I could have left it also. But structured study से क्या होता है, तो टाइम कम लगता है, टाइम वेस्ट नहीं होता, बहुत जल्दी, because everything is so structured. It's very systematic, so it becomes very easy in a program. Plus there are so many mentors. You have a mentor on top to handhold you. बड़ा फर्क पड़ जाता है ना, उंगली पकड़ के कोई चलाए. So what I'm going to do is 10 verses each. I will allot the verses to all of you. आप सिर्फ मुझे इतना बता देना अपनी preference that you want to speak on the beginning, middle or end of the chapter.
Beginning. It seems simpler.
Okay. So first 10 verses Anjali के.
But मैं PPT कुछ नहीं. Maybe I can talk. I mean अपने notes and आपके notes जो इसमें से. No PPTs. But when?
Next class?
Next class तो आपने बोला था is not happening ना.
You are lucky you're getting time. Nityanand Trayodashi है, so you have 2 weeks. Perfect.
Okay.
इससे ज़्यादा time नहीं चाहिए.
अच्छा, तो I have already 4th March is the Thursday after that. I'm traveling. 4th
You're
March.
traveling?
हाँ,
कहाँ जा रहे हो?
बॉम्बे सिस्टर से मिलने. जिनके यहाँ पे. हाँ.
I see.
अभी तक तो ये प्लान है.
तो सिस्टर के घर से नहीं दे पाओगे?
नहीं हो पाएगा.
ओके, कोई बात नहीं, आपको छोड़ेंगे नहीं, आप उसके बाद बोलोगे जरूर. बट 10 वर्सेस पे सब प्रिपेयर करेंगे और प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे, ठीक है?
Yeah. Okay.
I think I'll give the last 10 verses to Hema.
Okay.
So first 10 और last 10 फिक्स हो गए. अब बीच के
तो 7 लोग फिर तो है ना, 7 people ना, 10 दोगे तो
yes.
हम तो और भी है ना,
Sorry.
और भी लोग होते हैं ना क्लास में, तो काफी लोग आज नहीं है, 12-13 लोग होते हैं।
हाँ वैसे आज क्यों नहीं है?
मनाने चले गए हैं।
आज क्यों नहीं है?
हाँ पता नहीं।
हाँ
I don't. We have to start. Somebody has to please take this calling seva to remind everyone, call them that it's class, please come. बुलाना पड़ता है, अनु से पूछो, फर्क पड़ता है ना अनु? सबको पता है कि अटेंड करना है, लेकिन खींच के लाना पड़ता है।
हाँ कि प्रीति क्यों नहीं आ रही है? मंगला
प्रीति was saying कि वो कोविड की वजह से जो उसका रेगुलरिटी टूटी, तो उसके बाद से उसको अब बहुत मुश्किल हो रही है टू जॉइन बैक। उसका उड़ गया सब कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस, शी इज गॉन बैक टू हर ओल्ड वेज ऑफ लाइफ, सो उसको भी लाना है। Okay, YG, thank you so much for your time, but you will be, please let me know which 10 verses you would like to speak on. ठीक है?
फिर I think 11 onwards till 20 I will take, because वही मुझे लगता है easier version verses हैं। उसके बाद तो like time and again they'll go difficult and difficult and difficult.
ऐसा है नहीं वैसे, with Prabhupada's explanation it is so easy. Bhagavad Gita was never so simpler, never. दूसरी उठा के देखोगे तो you will get the idea.
हाँ
बाकियों ने इतना उसमें खिचड़ी पकाई हुई है. So
2.11 to 2.20.
11 to 21. 10 नहीं 9 नहीं.
Okay. 21.
नहीं 1 से 20 तक तो 10 ही होंगे ना। 11 से 20 तो 10 होंगे ना। 11, 12, 13, 14, 18, 19, 20। हाँ 11 से 20 10 हो गए।
अंजलि को भी कंफर्म करना पड़ रहा है काउंट करके।
काउंट करके मैं बोल तो गई and you kept looking at me. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
10 to 20 नहीं होता 10.
10 to 20 तो 11 होता है ना, if you include both. If you include both तो 11 होता है.
Okay. गुड, तभी मैं फाइनेंस का काम हमेशा ये मारवाड़ियों को ही दे देती हूँ। आप ही पैसे आप ही पैसे
तो मैं भी तो सिंधी हूँ ना।
या मारवाड़ी, ठीक है। सो नीलम और ये लिस्ट बना लेते हैं। कौन बनाएगा? वीनू आप बना दोगे?
अगर हम 13-14 हैं तो 10 वर्स कैसे उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे? और लोग भी तो होंगे ना आगे तो क्लासेस में। मीना है, रेशमा है और हेमा की सिस्टर क्या नाम है?
अर्चना
है। और
चलो
और
8 करते हैं, 8 करते हैं।
कितने और लोग हैं जो रेगुलर आते हैं? एक तो मीना
एग्जाम का कोर्स कम हो गया, 8 वर्सेस करते हैं, ठीक है।
I'll take Anjali's 2 verses.
हाँ, so 1 to 8
2.9 to 2.20 I will do.
1 to 8 I'll do.
Is better you open the book, you yourself divide the verses and let us know, post it in the group. That is the best thing, otherwise ये confusion चलता रहेगा. See the names
नहीं तो 8 ही करनी है ना, फिर 8 ही करें ना।
पहले नाम लिखना पड़ेगा ना, लिस्ट बनानी पड़ेगी ना, फिर डिवाइड हो जाएगा 72 में बस।
या
ओके,
ठीक है। I'll have to check with everyone. Everybody has to be present. And who will take हाँ
नेक्स्ट वीक क्लास है ना अपनी?
नहीं है ना,
because it is Nityanand Trayodasi and all of us have to celebrate Nityanand Trayodasi. सबको करना है ना? We will
पे करना है ना, यहाँ पे क्लास पे नहीं करना कुछ।
क्लास में नहीं, घर पे करेंगे, लेकिन we can actually meet online to discuss Nityanand Trayodashi, and all of us can show what we have done for Nityanand Trayodashi अपने घर पे क्या भोग बनाया, कैसे altar को decorate किया है, what did we do that day. We can share that. We can have the darshan of each other's
अच्छा,
altar.
एकादशी is Tuesday ना, 23rd I think.
Yes, yes. ठीक है. So and please do something. Temple में I don't know. Of course program तो होगा ही, बहुत बड़ा program होगा. So we
वीनू
can
आप
even
आ रहे हो
meet.
वापस 25 को?
6th को आ रही हूँ, 25th को नहीं, 6th को.
6th March कि 26th?
No, 6th March.
Okay.
Oh, इतना लेट हो गया.
हाँ, थोड़ा सा शिफ्टिंग करनी है ना, इसलिए थोड़ा सा डिले कर दिया.
Okay.
Let her stay with her
Okay.
husband for some more time.
हाँ.
Huh?
Let her stay with her husband some more time.
Yeah, of course. We take all the time. So, what should we do on Nityanand Trayodashi? Do you guys want to come to the temple? Let's all meet at the temple.
I thought
And I thought so. And but Tuesday also temple का plan है for Ekadashi ना?
Morning.
We will meet for Kirtan. That will be nice. You know, like last time, there's hardly anybody. हम ही लोग थे सिर्फ.
हाँ, I didn't come. Yes.
There. And they are encouraging us. वो कह रहे हैं कि अभी तक कोई ऐसा ladies कीर्तन मंडली नहीं है. आप लोग बना लो. So, in fact, वो दोनों जो मृदंग सीख रहे हैं, इशिता and नेहा, they will come with their मृदंगा. आप लोग अपने करताल ले आना. तुम्हारी अपना कीर्तन मंडली मतलब प्रैक्टिस कर करके हो जाएगी ना. We are getting this opportunity. We are so blessed to sing to. ठीक है अनु? Come and we will around 12 I think. और फिर वहीं पे we will have prasad, एकादशी प्रसाद. ठीक है? So Tuesday को we will meet and I think we should celebrate Nityanand Trayodashi at the temple also. We'll donate whatever we can for the festival. जो भी चाहिए, abhishek and foodstuffs and whatever. And let's get together there. Again, we can do welcome seva. That Nandini is
And
always.
how we will be able to do everything at home?
मतलब कैसे?
ये घर में हमें सेलिब्रेट करना है, altar decoration, offering प्रसाद and all. तो टेम्पल में जाएंगे तो फिर ये वाली इवनिंग टाइम यू आर सेइंग इन द टेम्पल.
हम अपना सुबह कर लेंगे. मॉर्निंग जैसे हम उठ ही रहे हैं, अपना देती वर्शिप कर ही रहे हैं, तो उस दिन हमने थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा उनको डेकोरेट कर दिया फ्लावर्स से टू सेलिब्रेट हिज बर्थडे. वो सब हमने अपना तो मॉर्निंग प्रोग्राम हो जाएगा हमारा, और शाम को हम टेम्पल में करेंगे. भोग भी हम अपना तो बना ही रहे हैं. उस दिन कुछ एक दिन पहले प्लान करके कुछ स्पेशल बना दिया कि आज नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी है, उसके लिए. And then ठीक है. तो नित्यानंद in fact I have did you read that वो इतना अच्छा दिया हुआ है उस पे चिल्ड्रंस क्लास पे नित्यानंद के बारे में 2 आर्टिकल्स डले हैं. I was reading them. In fact, Nityanand Prabhu, Balram, because he was born before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna से पहले बलराम आते हैं ना. So Nityanand Prabhu was 32 years old when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was 20 years old. 20 साल के थे चैतन्य महाप्रभु जब नित्यानंद प्रभु उनसे मिले और नंदन आचार्य के घर पे मिले in the year 1506. है ना, ये 16th century की बात. So he met in इनके नित्यानंद प्रभु ने भी दीक्षा ली. किनसे? लक्ष्मीपति तीर्थ.
लक्ष्मीपति तीर्थ
दीक्षा ली. और लक्ष्मीपति तीर्थ के दूसरा जो बहुत फेमस उनका डिसाइपल था अदर देन नित्यानंद प्रभु was माधवेंद्र पुरी. और माधवेंद्र पुरी के डिसाइपल्स कौन थे? अद्वैत आचार्य एंड ईश्वर पुरी. अद्वैत आचार्य कौन है? जो हम
पंचतत्व में
जो हम श्री अद्वैत गदाधर. So that Advaitacharya was the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri के disciples कौन है? अद्वैत आचार्य एंड ईश्वर पुरी. और ईश्वर पुरी के disciple कौन है? चैतन्य महाप्रभु. Krishna, he's God himself. But he wanted to show कि दीक्षा लेनी जरूरी है, तो खुद उन्होंने दीक्षा ली भगवान होते हुए भी ईश्वर पुरी से. So this is so naturally Nityanand Prabhu, then Ishwar Puri, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like that. And Nityanand Prabhu he had two wives, Janva Mata and Vasudha Mata. And Vasudha Mata had two children, Ganga Devi and Veer Chandra, a boy and a girl, and then she passed away. So his other wife, Janva Devi, raised these two children, Veer Chandra and Ganga Devi. So of course Ganga Devi ki to unhone, but Veer Chandra ko Janva Mata ne Diksha di. This is a very good example of, this is women's liberation. See the position of women. Just 500 years back. Janva Devi gave Diksha to her son. And not only that, हम नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर का प्रेयर्स पढ़ रहे हैं, हम उनकी कितनी कमेंट्रीज पढ़ रहे हैं नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की. He was an elevated Goswami. Do you know who was his instructing spiritual master? Janva Devi. So the next time these women ये धरने देकर जो बोलते हैं कि औरतों को पिछाड़ा गया, वैदिक धर्म में औरतों को दबाया गया, इससे 500 साल पहले की बात सुन लो कि दीक्षा जैसी बहुत बड़ी, ये तो मतलब संन्यास इज ऑलवेज अ मेल डोमिनेटेड एरिया है ना. दीक्षा संन्यास इज ऑल बाय men, but here this woman Janva Devi, Nityanand Prabhu's wife, was the instructing guru, spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur, who is a Goswami. जिनके हम विजय आचार्यस हैं, he is an acharya. उनके spiritual master woman. She actually established the preeminent position of women in Vaishnav tradition. Janma Mata, wife of Nityanand Prabhu. So it's very interesting. Read about Nityanand Prabhu, because you have to get to know him before you feel some attraction for him, some to develop some feeling for him, है ना. कृष्णा के साथ इतना हमें प्यार क्यों है? क्योंकि बहुत सुना कृष्णा के बारे में, बड़ी लीलाएं सुन ली, but we don't know much about Nityanand Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'm going to post those links. Please read. Who left?
Vaishali.
Vaishali was there?
She read all the verses na today.
नहीं अभी. नहीं अभी. नहीं तो I would have asked her to switch on her. देखते लेते. Yeah. So please read. हेमा, तुम्हारा भागवतम कहाँ तक पहुँचा?
11th canto चल रहा है मेरा. 11th verse.
You must be really enjoying it, no? I'm thrilled. Really enjoying Bhagavatam.
You're reading which one now?
मैं तो धीरे-धीरे नोट्स बनाती आ रही हूँ. So
अच्छा, नोट्स भी बना रहे हैं आप. हाँ, okay.
Friends, कुछ बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात आती है तो you can't just let it go ना, because भूल जाएंगे. तो जो भी मुझे इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है I write. So I am still at the 5th chapter only.
5th also.
Yeah. So I want to share something that I heard in the lecture today. Again, Bhagavatam. I'm hearing Bhagavatam. 2 hours at least I'm hearing Bhagavatam. And half an hour I read. And sometimes because I heard from Amrendra Das that reading in Vishuddha Sattva time. Sattva time is 4 p.m. सुबह जब हम उठते हैं. Vishuddha Sattva is before that. Sattva से भी, ब्रह्म मुहूर्त से भी पहले का जो time है, that's Vishuddha Sattva, which is somewhere around 3-ish. अगर आप विशुद्ध सत्व टाइम में उठकर 1 घंटा अगर भागवतम पढ़ते हो, that's equal to reading it for 5 hours during the day. So I try to do that sometimes.
lovely.
सुबह उठ के उससे उससे एक्साइटमेंट होती है उठने में, यो मुझे उठ के पढ़ना है, नॉट कि अच्छा ओके चैंट करना है अभी नहाना है. नो, आई जस्ट गेट अप, आई डोंट टेक अ बाथ एट दैट टाइम, जस्ट आई रीड, देन आई गो एंड टेक अ शावर. So I'll tell you what something very interesting and very practical. 9 चीजें बताई हैं जो मैंने लिखी हैं. प्योरिफिकेशन के बारे में, क्यों प्योरीफाई करते हैं. जो लैंड है that gets purified by time, कालेन. Just by the passing of time, land gets purified. Because by the passing of time, land change होता रहता है. अगर खड्डा है तो वो विद टाइम भर जाता है, अगर कुछ टूटा हुआ है तो वो विद टाइम बन जाता है. So time, कालेन, purifies land. Bathing purifies the body. Washing unclean things, by washing unclean things get purified. साफ करना, अलग अलग तरह की चीज़ों को साफ करना, जैसे हम अपने चांदी के बर्तन, हमारे पूजा के जितने बर्तन साफ करते हैं, तांबे को अलग चीज़ से साफ करना होता है, चांदी को अलग चीज़ से साफ करना होता है. सो क्लीनिंग, वॉशिंग, स्क्रबिंग से चीज़ें प्योरीफाई होती हैं. पानी और साबुन से वॉश करने से बॉडी प्योरीफाई होती है. टाइम से लैंड प्योरीफाई होता है. संस्कार से बर्थ प्योरीफाई होता है. By samskars, purificatory ceremonies, birth is purified. That's why we need to do all these samskars. Birth, janma sanskar, annaprasanna sanskar, janeyu sanskar, and then last में दाह संस्कार, है ना. So संस्कार क्यों करने जरूरी है? Because your birth gets purified. Then by austerity, senses get purified. इसलिए तपस्या करनी जरूरी है. इससे हमारी सेंसेस जो हैं, हमारी जो इंद्रियां हैं, they get purified. Then by puja, the Brahmins get purified. ब्राह्मणों को पूजा करने की सख्त जरूरत है. Then their Brahminical existence gets purified. By charity, your possessions get purified. Whatever God has given us, otherwise everything is contaminated in the material world. So as human beings, ये चीजें इसलिए बनाई हुई थी ताकि हम इनको प्योरीफाई कर सकें. So हमारी जो चीजें हैं, हमारा जो possessions हैं, वो कैसे प्योरीफाई होंगी? दान से. और दान कैसे बताया है रूप गोस्वामी ने? 50% goes to the Brahmins, 25% goes to family and relatives, and 25% for your own self, for any emergency. 50, 25, 25. This is the way. Also in the Bhagavatam it is given that one has to spend on these 5 things to purify your wealth. ये हम सबको पता होना चाहिए. Which are the 5 things? धर्माय, धर्म पे. यश से, अपने नाम पे, अपना यश, आपका जो नाम है उसके ऊपर स्पेंड करना जरूरी है. अर्थाय, फॉर ऑल योर जरूरत की चीजें, अर्थ. कामाय, अगेन वी नीड, काम मीन्स फॉर आवर डिजायर्स को सेटिस्फाई करने के लिए भी पैसा चाहिए. वृंदावन चलते हैं, चलो ये के लिए ये कर देते हैं, नित्यानंद त्रयोदशी के लिए ये कर देते हैं. ये सब डिजायर्स ही हैं, लेकिन इसके लिए भी लक्ष्मी चाहिए, पैसा चाहिए. कामाय. एंड स्वजनाय, अपनों. इन 5 चीजों पे भगवान का दिया हुआ पैसा जो हमें मिला हुआ है, इस पे जरूर खर्चना है. धर्म, धर्माय, यशसे, अर्थाय, कामाय एंड स्वजनाय. Otherwise, if we live a miserly life, we are going to get sinful repercussions for that. Then mind gets purified. How? By satisfaction. How important it is to be satisfied. So when you become content and satisfied, your mind gets purified. And lastly, the self means the soul, the real you inside. How does the soul gets purified? Atma Vidyaya. What's Atma Vidyaya? Krishna consciousness. उससे हमारी आत्मा शुद्ध प्योरीफाई हो जाए. So these 9 purificatory processes every human being should do. So much knowledge. Just see our Shastra. Just see the depth of our Shastra. जिसको ये खत्म करने पे तुले हुए हैं. Ignorance है. They don't know. उनको लगता है it's just full of superstition and rituals. They don't know the real Shastra. Then always be satisfied with these 3. इन 3 चीजों में हमेशा satisfied रहो. You'll be shocked to hear this. स्वदारे, भोजने, धने. Swadare, life partner. Always be satisfied.
I didn't hear you. I didn't get you.
Life partner.
Okay.
Always be satisfied with whoever you have been given. There is a karmic cycle behind it. Difficult है, अच्छा है, बुरा है, कुछ भी है, आपका karmic cycle की वजह से वो आपकी life में है. Satisfied. Be satisfied. भोजने, जैसा खाना मिल रहा है. Be satisfied. And धने, जितनी wealth मिली है, कम है, ज़्यादा है. Be satisfied. Always be satisfied with food, wealth, and life partner that has been given to you. Always. And never be satisfied with these 3. Swadhyay. Swadhyay, your spiritual practice. Japa and dane. The charity that you give, the japa that you do, and the swadhyay. Swadhyay means the reading and the hearing, shravanam and kirtanam that you do. Never be satisfied with the amount of these 3 that you are doing. And always be satisfied with swadare, bhojane, dhane. Isn't it amazing? So these 9 purificatory processes one must do. So one has to be satisfied. Satisfaction is very important. इससे हमारा mind शुद्ध होता है. और austerity से हमारी senses purify होती है. So हमारी जो 5 इंद्रियां हैं, ये जप करना, तप करने से. And what is a तप? एकादशी तप. ना खाना. चाहे ट्रैवल कर रहे हो, चाहे शादी है, चाहे कुछ भी है, तप करना, यही तपस्या है कलयुग की. नहीं खाना. कहीं पे भी हैं आप, ट्रैवल कर रहे हो, कुछ भी, लेकिन उससे उसका रिजल्ट बहुत बड़ा है. Senses are getting purified. The senses are getting purified automatically. आज हमने सीखा peaceful. Nothing will be able to trouble you. So this was what I heard today. और भी है, but then it's getting late.
Which number verse it is? I'll read again.
Number मैंने क्यों नहीं लिखा? I didn't write the number of this because I heard this in the lecture today, but I will rehear the lecture in the starting and get the number for you.
Okay.
And in the वो जो मैंने आपको बताया charity कैसे purify करनी है, उसका है 8.19.34. How to purify your wealth. That please follow that 8.19.37. All of us should purify the wealth of our husbands. It's going to benefit our husbands only and us. उनको तो नहीं पता है, लेकिन हमें पता है. So it is our duty to engage their wealth in the proper way so that it gets purified. Okay? Hari bol. हमारे घर में everybody is studying. I am studying. मेरी यहाँ पे किताबों का ढेर है. Both my boys are studying. एक CFA का एग्जाम दे रहा है, एक 11th के फाइनल एग्जाम दे रहा है. फुल पढ़ाई पूरे घर में. Okay, Hari Bol. Thank you so much.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.